Yep. Hi, everyone. When we sent our proposal here, we were like, what am I going to do there? Because we do not understand the technology. We do not do much about online and big data and artificial intelligence, algorithms, machine learning. So we are not agile. We are old-fashioned. And we love human factor. And we love to be human-oriented. So actually, my aim here is to remind you the power of human factor and / offline world that we are living right now here. So we are a research company founded in 2012, headquarters still in Istanbul. And in 2016, we launched our office in Orlando, Florida. I'm an anthropologist. I used to be an ex-academic. Used to teach and supervise many PhD theses. So by that time, I covered a lot of anthropological theory and literature. So I'm saying all these things has a meaning. I'm just not advertising myself. It will come. And my brother over there, Alper Göker, used to be a creative director of Ogilvy. And at the end, after 16 years working in ad agencies, so we joined our forces because we realized that there was a missing niche in market research. So what we did only anthropology, and still we do only anthropology. We were always against the focus groups. The reason is because we are natural human beings. So we do not want to include a bunch of people in an artificial environment, sterilized, around the table and asking and directing questions and trying to get the insights. So we wanted to make it as natural as possible. Obviously, any anthropological work consists minimum a year, and obviously we are a market research company. We don't have that time. So we are working hard to obtain that level of anthropology. So we aim to transform, no, I'm here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So we transform ethnographic research findings into insights through an anthropological perspective. In order to do that, you need to have a filter of mind that situates one person's behavior, words, attitudes, body movements, and everything into a macro-social and meso-social context. Because we also believe that what you see is not what you get all the times. So you have to dig into the ground, focus on the details. This is, as I said before, our hard work, and we love that. So our team is composed of anthropologists who are witty, weird, crazy people who are obsessed with human behavior and the way we act and the reasons behind why we do things the way we do. So in order to process the data, one needs to have a minds filter. If you want to do a good anthropological research, you really need to understand and love human beings, not very much in love with the numbers. And so our focus is the human beings and their behavior and observe them, but also have a strong anthropological, theoretical background and experience. So, as I said at the very beginning, mainly we are here to remind you the power of human factor because this is the only thing that we know. So why anthropology? Of course, we are anthropologists, that's why we set up our company, but anthropology is the human science. It's different from sociology for those who have not much idea about it. Sociology studies the societies, anthropology studies the human beings. And today we also know that non-human oriented marketing strategies that depend solemnly on quantitative means and data may remain short in converting the findings into insights and create the emotional bonds with the brands. And that is, at the end of the day, everybody is trying to do this for the brands they are working for. So how do we do this? We our full body is in anthropology and in general in social sciences. We had a meaning-based human filter in analyzing any bunch of data. So what happens, like we started with only anthropological research, but through the time, our clients wanted us to read their quantitative data, which is very hard because if you are not included in the quantitative data at the very beginning, then you cannot really understand what they were asking and how this data is going to talk to the real insights that we are finding. So we set up Habitus data, and Habitus data does what we are doing is like reading the quantitative data from an anthropological perspective. So we try to find answers for the questions of how and why. Obviously, I mean, we are living in an era where artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, all the great things that we are doing is super important and is part of the agile research. However, although we appreciate it, but we also believe that we need to study everything only in combination, this is from our perspective, with an anthropological approach. So if we talk about any insight automation, we assert that contextualization and humanization of big data is necessary, and we believe that anthropology is the medicine. It is one of the buzzwords of today, again, is holistic approach. So we do have a holistic approach, and it is at the core of the research projects. Our clients, one of them is here, already have a lot of data, a lot of numbers, quantitative data, and they can say us like, who uses what and how much. But what they do not know is the underlying motivations of consumers. Here, the consumer, even the term of consumer is something that we feel sometimes irritated because at the end of the day, here everybody is a consumer and here everybody is a human being as far as I know. So this consumer, I'm using it just to talk about human beings. So our question is about finding out who these people are in real life. Okay, why they do, what they do, and how they live their lives. Not only that, because we are in a web of different cultures, overcultures, subcultures, national cultures, technological cultures, so each of us has different lifestyles. So the lifestyles, without studying, without really understanding the lifestyle, how can you really understand why I have this type of behavior over this? So another thing that really surprised me after quitting my career in academic life was like the companies were asking the client part saying that, okay, we need an ethno research. Ethno, I put here in brackets because ethnographic research is only a methodology. And this methodology is like ethnographic research as a term is coined by Malinowski as an anthropologist. So this is the methodology, but how do you read the findings and convert them into insights can be done only with anthropology. At the beginning I said, we are resisting, and hopefully we will keep resisting for focus groups. Because we love studying human beings, people's lives in their own natural habitat, in their own habitus. Does anybody know the meaning of habitus? Good. You? Okay, perfect. So it's a time, okay, I'm talking a lot. I wrap it out now. Habitus is a social scientific term coined by Pierre Bourdieu. Okay, so any type of choice we make in life is a combination, is an interaction between different capitals. Economic capital, social capital, cultural capital, and symbolic capital. So we try to understand the meaning of that person's choices in her own habitus. We listen like a sociologist, but also interact as anthropologists, analyze as social scientists. What do we mean by interacting as an anthropologist? Anthropologists should not ask aggressive questions. So every one of us has a narrative, has a journey in life. So everybody here is a storyteller, and we are the story collectors. So I really do not follow the field guide that we prepare when we go for the in-depth interviews. We leave to people. So everybody can start up from one place where I never thought about it. Everybody is super smart, but the informants are going to talk about their own life. So we leave them as they are. So this is how to interact as an anthropologist. We are not an advocate of an idea, concept, or a brand, but we are observing our consumers, and we never direct them. Everything is super natural. Now, I leave the presentation to my dear friend İpek.
Hello. First, I'd like to introduce you with Anadolu Efes. Who is Anadolu Efes? So we are the biggest beer company in Turkey, and we have founded in 1969 as a beer company. Currently, today, we are 16th biggest beer producer in the world and 6th biggest producer in Europe. And we are #1 in all of the countries that we are operating. Currently in Turkey, there are over than 20 brands that we have. And moreover than a beer company, we are mainly invested a lot in the social life. So Efes witnessed and contributed to the social life, tourism, history, art, and every aspect of the socialization in Turkey. Because of that, Efes has a more meaning than a beer brand. It has an emotional bonding with the consumers. And to make you more understand about the case, I also want to tell you about the alcohol category in Turkey. Honestly, we are not a beer alcohol land in Turkey. Unfortunately, consumption, due to some religious reasons, etc., the consumption is not very high. 29% penetration, and this means around 14 million of beer consumers. And if you look at the total volume, it is 900 million liters in a year around. So 12 liters per capita consumption, not very big. And moreover, a bigger challenge, in 2013, we went in a dark market. What does dark market mean? More of you know, I believe. It means all the advertisement or all the communication is banned in the country about alcohol. But yes, we are not in a big beer market. We are in a dark market, but we enjoy. We enjoy selling beer, we enjoy selling fun, we enjoy selling socialization and refreshment. It is really a very enjoyable job. And we have 60% of the beer market in Turkey with all of our brands. But the challenge is, unfortunately, we had 80% 10 years ago. This is the real big challenge. But what happened in the last 10 years, mainly the market competition is very high currently, and also dark market came into place. So the new generation could not have that emotional bonding with the brand because of the dark market, and we were not very used to act in the dark market. So it was a learning, and we had to learn a lot. But we did a lot. We did lots of researches, and we know about the brand drivers in the category. Quality and trust is the first driver. Emotional connect, value, intrinsic, brand heritage. There are lots of drivers. So we deep dived in every aspect of the drivers. We did lots of researches. From yesterday to today, all of our speakers mentioned about lots of researches. And we have all. We have brand tracking, we have need segmentation, we have consumer segmentation, we have neuro researches, we have test researches, and even we asked not the purchase intention with a direct way, but in a really realistic way. We did a lot. But it is not very easy to find the solution from the data, with only data. Yes, we had lots of insights from the data, and I appreciate that our marketing team really appreciates data, but still it was not enough. Because finding a way to connect the consumers emotionally needs to understand the meaning around that insights. It is really important. So we had to understand the cultural fabric and social context of Turkey. And because of that reason, we went to Habitus and wanted a social and anthropological research to really find the cues to reconnect with our consumers.
Okay. I will do this so everybody has it here, the whole thing. So when we talk about ethnographic research, I understand that in market research, ethnographic research is very kind of limited number, like 25 people, 15 people, even sometimes like 10 people. But this is one of our mid-size ethnographic research. That's why we say that when I say like we were like hardworking people, really it's like 5 cities, 100 people, in-depth, face-to-face interviews. And other than that, like spending weeks, it was not bad, like drinking beer, hanging around in the pubs and the bars and the local centers and the nightclubs and observing them and seeing how actually the product becomes a secondary when it comes with the beer. So that was like another thing. So numerous participant observations and external stakeholders, we interviewed them too, and we interviewed the experts. So I'll go very fast with the simplified research findings. So we found a meaning-based proposition that helped to intersect meaning worlds of Anadolu Efes and beer consumers. Identified occasions that brought this proposition into being, found meaning-based common ground that would strengthen the emotional tie with the consumers, found a tone of voice to properly address emotional needs of beer consumers regardless their lifestyle differences. The last bit you may not understand, but we can open up with the question Q&A session. Captured the importance of the microcultures in their current form of coexistence and synthesis. I'm sure you didn't understand that, but I'll come to that because it's a very local thing. So do you want to add some stuff here with the emotional connection? So that's another issue, yeah.
So, as a result, yes, they tap into mindsets and needs, and we found some cultural bondings with the new Turkey. So this is a long story. So freedom, missing the past Turkey, etc., etc. But then we start to reinvest in the social life. So, and we really decided to own an attitude, and in each touch point we are consistently trying to make consumers live that attitude. So now we are on a stage, we are on, it is not a short journey, but we are on all the findings.
Okay, I'm getting towards the end. So today in marketing we have 2 critical ambitions. One is clearly being a customer-centric brand, human factor included, and 2, get all the data, everything. Are we really honest with high-end purpose for transforming the brands as customer-centric entities? So let's say yes. So how do we reach that purpose? Can we ever argue that we understand human experience and behavior by leaning on the mesmerizing power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and statistics? Surely we can find answers for what, but the main and dramatic question of how and why will be unanswered. I'll put everything here, so okay. So the main goal of anthropology and social sciences in general is to unpack the complexities of human experience, life, habits, and tendencies. Anthropology as human science discipline describes thick data thanks to our popular anthropologist Clifford Geertz. I realize that there are lots of interesting articles on Medium comparing big data versus thick data. So the thick data, you now know that's coming from Clifford Geertz, who's an anthropologist. So humans learn, transmit, challenge, reshape, resist, alter, obey the culture that they're born and live in. So each of us contain the traces of culture either to challenge or accept or negotiate. So every time you talk to someone, you actually should know that there is a cultural trait going on there. And you need to unpack that because we as human beings constantly lie. We say things, but we do something else. So we have to really unpack and be careful with anything that you deal with human beings. So the more you understand one person and her interaction with different fields that surround her life, the data becomes thicker and the answer for why question becomes fuller. Okay. We essentially need human factor, either to make the brands consumer-centric or making our big data more meaningful. And at the end, we wish that human factor is not used as a sprinkle to boost the taste, but as the essence and as the main ingredients. These are our amazing anthropologists, and thank you.
Fascinating.
Different.
It's great. Okay. If we can do them quick, we'll take both these questions. The cube's over here.
Hi, I'm Adina. I'm a sociologist.
Excellent.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, we do psychology of groups, not focus groups. My question is the following. I like very much your presentation, so we are pretty much on the same
ground.
energy. Yeah. The question would be the following, because these 2 days we've been talking a lot about artificial intelligence and the new role of the researcher and so on and so forth. You are giving us now a new perspective, a different perspective, not a new perspective, because you said you are old-fashioned agency.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so as an old-fashioned agency that is expanding in other countries as well, how you foresee the future of research, talking about taking into consideration that the future is in artificial intelligence, and the future is also about human beings, I assume, hopefully. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. I'm so glad meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, so there is a change. Okay, so either we are into the change or we're out. So either we will be out, forgotten, and then we will be nostalgic and retro again, back again. Okay. So I prefer that we will be part of this change, and this change is not just because everybody's trying to, make money, all these things, but it's not only that, because if we do not include the human factor into big data becomes really meaningless. Okay, so there are data scientists who are actually combining sociological perspective, anthropological perspective, and including and trying to see and read that data from that perspective. And it is like baby steps, but it's getting there. There are very important anthropologists. Actually, one of my inspirational persons named Genevieve Bell. She is an anthropologist, and she was hired by Intel. She didn't know anything about technology, nothing. And she was like the director of the research of the whole Intel. So what she's saying, like the big data is important, but the big data is nothing if you cannot read it from a social scientific perspective. So I have hopes, okay? I have hopes. And there are amazing anthropologists that they build up their own group, Epic People. So they are actually working on finding out different models, and it's not going to be overnight. It is in the process, but anthropologists and sociologists are included into artificial intelligence research too. For instance, we are, this is our second research with European Union Commission. It's like trucks without the drivers. So they wanted to work with us. There must be a reason behind that. So I hope that we will be needed.
I have an answer also.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a statistician. So I am really came from the data part. So I am 20 years in the research area and started with Nielsen. So I believe that directly asking questions to the consumers will be outdated. But data mining and artificial intelligence will help to answer some of the questions, and some will be answered with the anthropology and really human understanding, and some combination of two. So in the middle, it will be something outdated, but the data mining and the human understanding will be the next feature for me.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not very good at it.
Thank you. Corentin, Japan Tobacco. Thanks for a very great presentation. I think it was important that you underline it's not all about data, quantitative data is not all, but also we need to keep focus on the qualitative information and observing our consumers in a real environment without having bias. So that thing was good. You also said that you conducted interviews and observed people in a different context. However, with the ban on communication since 2013, did you face challenges to get such information, and how did you overcome these issues?
I'll say a few things. If you
Okay.
want. So there's, if I correctly understood you, are you asking me if there's a ban, like, and because of this ban, how did you collect the data? Okay. So obviously you have to let them sign a consent form. And in that consent form, you should really clearly state what are you going to do with this collected interview, if they agree to be seen on, because sometimes we tape them. Most of the people actually do not like to be recorded. So it's really hardworking, like, we are extremely old-fashioned now that I'm thinking among you guys, pen, paper, like, we don't have typewriters, which is great. But we didn't have any problems so far.
And also, this research has been done in the pubs and cafes, so it is not forbidden to drink beer that. So they were talking some of their friends, so they get collected information from them.
Yeah.
Understand. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you so much. Let's give it up.